My sister's husband, Jake, got really upset when I told him that I was dating someone else. I'm just venting, but I'd appreciate any advice. Here's some background. I'm Ashley, 17, and my sister Jess is 25. She's been married to Jake, who is 34, for 2 years. They got together when she started college and have been together ever since. From what I know, they've never had any major problems, and whenever they visited, they seemed like the perfect couple. My parents didn't always make the best decisions in life, so my sister basically raised me. I'm really thankful for her because I know she sacrificed a lot to take care of me. When she was in college, I'd call her at least 3 times a week to check in. She would tell me about school, what she was doing, and about Jake. She spoke so highly of him that it made me believe in a better idea of love. For example, she'd talk about the flowers he gave her, the romantic dates, and how kind he was to her. After living with my parents, who should have gotten divorced a long time ago, I didn't really have any role models for what a healthy relationship looked like. So, I got really close to Jess and Jake. Since it had always been just me and my sister growing up, when she introduced me to Jake, it felt like I finally had an older brother. Eventually, Jess and Jake moved in together, got engaged, and then married. My parents kicked me out because I wouldn't pay them rent. I have a job at a fancy horse ranch, and I love it there. The job has some perks, like being able to use the horses to practice and getting free lessons. The pay isn't great, but it's enough for me to survive. I didn't want to leave because of how much I loved the job, but my parents were asking for too much rent, and I'd have to get another job to afford it. So, I ended up living with Jess and Jake. Jake works from home, so he's mostly around unless he's taking Jess out or going to the gym. He makes enough money, but I don't really know what he does for work. Jess told me it's his family's company, so that's how they can afford everything. Recently, Jess and Jake told me they're expecting a baby, and I was really happy for them. However, my sister has had some miscarriages before, so we had to be extra careful with this pregnancy. It's been very complicated and high risk. Before I was kicked out, my parents had an old car that I could use to get to work and school. But since they kicked me out, I couldn't use it anymore, which was disappointing because I liked having the freedom of a car. However, Jake said he would start taking me to school in the morning and driving me to and from work. I was really grateful because I didn't have to take the bus or walk anymore. After Jake finished his workout at the gym, he would head home, shower, get me Starbucks, and then drop me off at school. In the afternoon, he would pick me up from school and drive me to work. After my shift, he was usually waiting for me or on his way to get me, so it was a huge help. I was thankful that he took time out of his day to help me. While we were in the car, we'd talk about things like Jess or the baby. He would always ask me if I was dating anyone or if I had a crush. He'd wink and say, "You're so beautiful, it's impossible there's nothing going on. Come on, you can tell me, I'll keep it a secret." There was a guy I was talking to, but it was too early to mention it, so I kept things vague and didn't answer his questions too specifically. I didn't want to jinx it. Eventually, the guy, Alex, who is 19 and whose family owns the ranch where I work, asked me out. We spent a lot of time together, especially during my shifts, when he would help me out or we'd go riding. I was really excited, so after my shift, I told Jake about it. He immediately went cold. It was like the warm, friendly vibe was gone. He started asking a lot of questions, and I answered because I thought it was just him being a protective older brother, and I figured he'd get used to it. But when I told him Alex and I had been talking for about a month, he got really angry. He called me a liar and said I had been hiding this from him. The worst part was when he said, "What about us?" which really confused me. What did he mean by that? Now, because of how he reacted, I keep overthinking everything that's happened since I started living with them. There's a pool in their backyard, and sometimes I go out there to swim or just lie out to tan. I've started to notice that whenever I went outside to swim or sunbathe, Jake would always find an excuse to be outside too. He might start the grill or mow the lawn, and I'd get the feeling that he was watching me. Sometimes, he would even swim with me, but I thought he was just trying to work out like I was. After I'd swim, I'd go to take a shower in the hallway. Jake and Jess have their own bathroom in the master bedroom. Once I was done with my shower, I'd go to my room to change and sleep. But sometimes, when I was just in a towel between the hallway and my room, Jake would be waiting there and say goodnight to me. I'd say it back, but now I'm wondering if there was another reason for that. I don't want to bring this up to my sister because she's been really fragile with her pregnancy. It's been tough on her, and I don't want to say anything that could hurt her or the baby. I just need to know if I'm overthinking all of this. I didn't even think about the possibility that my sister could take Jake's side over mine, but after reading some comments, it makes me think I should start keeping track of what's happening. I'm going to try to change how I interact with him without raising suspicion. If I feel like I'm in immediate danger, I'll definitely tell my sister. But, as I said before, I don't think Jake is that kind of person. I'd rather wait until my sister is healthier to talk to her about this, just to be safe, because I don't want her to get hurt, physically or emotionally, and I'm worried about the risk to her pregnancy. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it was really scary how he reacted the other day. I feel like he's probably just under a lot of stress with her high-risk pregnancy, and he's been taking care of her more than usual. He's probably just worried something might happen to her, but even if I give him the benefit of the doubt, I need to set some boundaries. When he had that outburst, it really made me feel uncomfortable and unsafe. I know I could never physically overpower him, so I'm going to ask some of my friends if they can carpool with me, and I'll also reach out to Alex to see if he can give me a ride to and from work. If that doesn't work, I'll find a job I can walk to. In the meantime, I'll try to keep things friendly and maintain the brotherly relationship I feel with Jake. I don't want to be hostile or make things tense. I'm also taking steps to change my situation, and I want to update you all on what's going on. First of all, thank you to everyone who left advice or comments on my last post. After reading all the comments, I realized that I'm no longer safe in this situation, and I need to make some changes starting now. As much as I respect and care for Jake, I don't think the risk is worth it anymore. I tried talking to Jake last night after posting to see if we could have a conversation about this, but he was still in a bad mood, so I decided to go to my room. Later that night, I felt like I really needed to get out of the house. I felt trapped, so I decided to take a walk to my smoke spot to clear my head. I wasn't even there for 15 minutes when I got a text from Jake asking, "Where are you?" Then my phone started blowing up with calls from him. I can't even describe the fear I felt. I just wanted to be left alone. I picked up the phone, and Jake immediately started insulting me. He called me a spoiled princess who always gets her way and said I deserved to be treated badly. Then he told me to send him my location, but I refused. I told him to calm down and think about what he just said to me. Afterwards, I called Alex, who thankfully answered. I tried to explain everything to him, though I was shaking and crying uncontrollably. He drove over to where I was and asked more questions while trying to calm me down. Once I relaxed a bit, I was able to tell him everything more clearly. Meanwhile, my phone kept ringing, and I assumed it was Jake, so I didn't answer. Eventually, I saw that it was my sister's phone calling. Even though I thought it was probably Jake calling from her phone, I answered it. It was Jake again, and he started insulting me loudly enough for Alex to hear. Alex took the phone from me, told Jake to shut up, and said that I was safe. He hung up the phone and told me everything was going to be okay. Alex drove me to the ranch and told his parents what had happened and about my situation. I'm really grateful that they let me stay in one of their extra rooms and offered me work around the farm. After that, I just cuddled with Alex and tried to sleep. I didn't go to school today because I needed to take a break. After everything with Jake and reading the comments, I started really worrying about my sister. I called her, and she picked up. It was obvious she'd been crying. She asked me if I was safe and okay. Jess told me that the night before, she had woken up to Jake yelling, and it really scared her. She pretended to still be asleep, but then she heard him come back into the room, take her phone off the charger, and keep yelling. After that, she heard the front door slam. Apparently, Jake had gone out looking for me and took her phone with him. She told me she didn't know what to do and was just scared that Jake might really hurt me. After about an hour, Jake came back home, but he was still in a bad mood. When Jess asked him where he'd been and what happened, he blew up on her for questioning him. She said she had never seen him this angry before, and he was literally destroying furniture. After a few minutes, he got back in the car and left, but thankfully, he left her phone on the counter. She looked at the call logs and saw all the calls to me while he was gone. Jess called a friend to pick her up and tried to reach out to me, but I was asleep. She told me she was scared that Jake had found me. She also apologized for not being able to protect me and for not noticing what was happening with Jake. Jess asked me why I hadn't told her about his behavior, but I told her I didn't want to stress her out with everything going on with her pregnancy. Then, we both ended up crying for a long time. Apparently, my parents are letting Jess move back in without paying rent because they want to help raise their grandbaby. If they had done this earlier, none of this would have happened. Anyway, my sister and I went out for dinner, and I showed her my post. We cried again. She told me that she had never been scared of Jake before, but after seeing his anger the night before, she was shaken. We still need to get our things, but we're going to set a date soon to move everything out. My dad and Alex will be there to make sure nothing happens. According to my sister, Jake has tried reaching out to her many times. He keeps claiming he was just worried about my safety and that I shouldn't be out at night, but Jess heard exactly what he was yelling at me, so she knew he was lying. She told him she was going to file for divorce, and then hung up. I love my sister, and I hope she finds someone who loves her and treats her right. On a brighter note, Alex and I are going on a date next week, so I'm really happy about that. And I want to thank everyone on Reddit for stressing me out so much that I went for a smoke break. I think you may have saved me. I don't know what would have happened if I had stayed in my room that night, but I'm grateful I didn't have to find out.